What up, everybody? Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. I was in some comment sections on some videos about relationships, and I've been seeing something over the last couple of months that I'm sure has always been there. I just didn't really pay much attention to it. But the other day, I was in the comment section, and the men were really, you could tell these men had been divorced, had some bad breakups, because it was all just women ain't nothing, women this, women that. And one of the men had even said we should all make a pact and join together that we're not going to deal with women at all. That's what got my attention when he said that. Because I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. I agree. And I admit that there's a lot of women that can be on some nonsense, especially in 2025. I agree. I'm with it. I'm divorced. I'm there. I know the stuff that can happen. I've got friends that I know both sides. I got female friends going through divorce, homeboys. I get it. But when you get to a point where you're so bitter that you're, as a grown man now, that you're on social media advocating that men stop dealing with women at all, to me, that's a problem. So having gone through divorce, which was kind of a nasty one. I mean, it wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the best. I was thinking about accountability. And when you're on social media, one of the things that you really don't see, and you all can say what y'all, if y'all have seen it in the comments, one of the things that you don't see on social media is men ever saying that they were the problem. Almost every man that speaks, and I guess women too, but I'm talking about men right now. Almost every man that you see tell his story or in a comment section or tell something that happened to him or give his testimony of his life and what went down, you rarely see a man take accountability and responsibility for anything that went on in that marriage. It don't matter the reason why it ended. You don't see men saying, I played a part in the downfall of my marriage. Most of the time on social media, which I understand is built on drama and contention, you're going to see men blaming the woman. I took her in with her two kids. They wasn't even mine. She was in debt. I paid her debt off. I helped her daughter get through college. I raised her son. I helped get him into the military. I raised her other son, whatever. I helped get him a career. I did all that when she was big. She lost some weight and she left. I trusted her with everything. She told me she loved me. After 15 years, I found out she was sleeping with my best friend. Women ain't ish. We should leave them alone. Women ain't nothing but headaches. Leave them alone entirely. So I'm thinking to myself, why is it that after a divorce or a hard breakup, men have such a hard time with accountability? So men, let me help you all real quick. One of the reasons why we're going to struggle with accountability, especially after divorce, is because men tie in everything that they do, career, status, marriage, as their worth, how they're seen. We connect all of that to our accomplishments, what we have achieved. So even if we know, and that's why, in my opinion, a lot of men, even though they know the marriage may be bad, don't just go rush out. And that's my opinion, that they don't go out and just rush to get a divorce, because to get a divorce to a man is admitting that he, watch this now, that he is responsible for the breakup of that marriage, even if he's not responsible. I've talked about this on other videos. When people get divorced, it don't matter the reason why. The man is always going to be blamed unless she did something totally crazy. And it can't even be like she slept with one dude. It's got to be, I came in the house and four strange men, four bikers, was in there tearing her behind up. And she was hollering like she loved it. She thought I was on job somewhere. I came home early. I found my wife in the bed with four men. It's got to be something like that before most people will say, okay, we understand she's the problem. Other than that, it don't matter why the divorce ends. The husband will almost always have to be the one to take responsibility. So when he is by default the one that has to take responsibility, and he may be in a situation, fellas, listen to me, those of you that have gone through a divorce, maybe you're going through it right now. The divorce ends, you already know that the responsibility and the look of who is responsible falls on you, even if you are not the one responsible for the breakdown of the marriage. And I think that that is part of the reason why it is hard for men to be accountable to the part that they played in a marriage that they may not have been responsible for why it split. So both sides play a part in why it was not successful. But the straw that broke the camel's back might have been something that she did. But because he's the one that has to take responsibility for it, it's going to be hard for men to take accountability for it. We confuse our accomplishments with the marriage. If the marriage go under, we feel like a failure. If we feel like a failure, it's going to be hard for us to take accountability and responsibility. Because we feel like if I take accountability for what happened in the marriage, I'm also having to take the blame. So we equate, I've been there. You got to go through that. You got to, unless you got to go through it and learn, right? You got to go through it and learn. If you don't heal, you can't grow. If you keep blaming your ex-wife, you can't grow. So you got to learn, my men, that accountability is not saying I'm taking the blame. It's saying I'm being self-aware of the part that I played in the breakdown of the marriage. And we all played a part, right? Let me give you an example. Let's just say, this ain't going to be everybody's case. Let's just say that when you asked this young lady or lady to marry you, you was more caught up in how big her booty was and how juicy her chest was, and the chemistry that y'all had together. When you hung out with her, every time y'all hung out, you felt great. You was on cloud nine. Even you as a man had butterflies. She's so beautiful. She's so gorgeous. You knew I had to have her in my life. I want to take her off the market, and then y'all start the process off of looks and vibes, chemistry. Did you, now check this out. Did you ever in your mind or on a piece of paper write down your core values and then look to see, not from what she said because you told her your values, but you watched her during the dating process to see if her values align with your values even without her knowing what yours were? See, most of us didn't do that. most of us, if the vibe was right and the chemistry's right, we're gonna go up, we're gonna keep going forward. But when you're talking about spending the rest of your life with someone, it has to go higher than the way they look. It has to go higher than vibe and chemistry. It has to somehow switch over to our values align. So that's number one. That's something that most of us did not do. And then if we did not do that, and years down the road, due to whatever cracks come up in the marriage, it's going to have something to do with having the same kind of values. When it splits in half and she goes off the deep end and leaves you or does whatever you say she did, then we want to point the finger at her. But at the end of the day, we have to say we're the one that went and got the ring and asked her to marry us. What was it about how we chose that should have gave us an insight? This may not have been the one for you, but we do it because a lot of time we don't choose on value and long-term compatibility. We would choose off of looks, vibes, chemistry, how we feel, how we rock together, how she's so fun to be around. We got to take her off the market. Maybe she putting a push on what we're going to do, what we're going to do. If you're not going to marry me, get out the way, let some, and then let this pressure come on. Maybe in my case by the church, maybe by your family, her family, whatever, and we bypass the steps to be able to pick up on what we need, and then years later, it falls in half. She's out the door. We blame her. All women suck. That's what we say then. All women suck. Last but not least, then we come online with the press. We ain't really got nobody to talk to. We don't want to tell our friends our business. So we come online, and on YouTube, Facebook, social media, we find a community of men who have gone through the same thing that we have gone through, and ain't none of them taking accountability, and all of them sitting around talking about how messed up women are. Then we find certain channels that's also, and they large channels, that's also saying, we told y'all women ain't this, that, and the third. Y'all gotta have this red pill now. Y'all won't understand women ain't ish. Now you feel like because you really understand women, you woke, you got the red pill, but the red pill is actually the reality and the truth of all things, not just women, which means while you drinking that red pill juice or swallowing that pill, you have to turn that light back on yourself. You do understand that, don't you? In your bitterness against women, and you taking the red pill that you feel has enlightened your eyes to how women really are. Remember that the red pill comes to open your eyes completely with the reality of what is. It takes you out of fantasy world and shows you what really is. Yes, it's going to show you the silliness of some women, but it also has to show you yourself. So we have to stop passing the blame. At some point, we have to say as men, we help aid into this foolishness. There are certain things that we allow that we should not have allowed. There are certain things that we ignored that we should not have ignored. Maybe we thought it was going to go away. Maybe we wanted to keep the peace. Maybe if we didn't know it was going to go this far. Maybe we thought she would change. And when it didn't happen, now we want to blame her. We're really upset with ourselves, but we come online and blame her. Fellas, get the healing you need. Become self-aware. Don't tell yourself I'm going to leave women alone for the rest of my life. Don't do that. These women are still precious. Yes, there are a lot of them are full of it, but now that your eyes are open now, and now that you know what you need to do to navigate and move through, I'm not saying that you ever have to get married again or sign that dotted line, but my goodness, don't join up with the crew that's saying all women are terrible. No, 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 no. There's good women out there. It's up to us to determine. You red pill now, your eyes open now, that means you ought to be able to see. And you ought to be able to know within yourself, I now know what to look for and I'm the man that I'm supposed to be, so that I am self-aware enough to know what I can tolerate and what I'm not going to tolerate moving forward, because when I tolerated it last time, it ended up getting me burnt. But you got to get healed first. You cannot do that in your bitterness against your ex. You cannot project the bitterness and the resentment against your ex-wife or your ex-girlfriend because they took half of all your stuff. They got you in the 401k. Now you want to blast all women as if they're your ex. All women are not your ex. Yes, the majority of women in 2025, modern day women, yes, they gonna be a mess. They're gonna be a handful. You ain't gonna want to deal with them much. But get healed. Don't project it out though. Don't project it out. Your wife did what she did. You allowed some of it. You tolerated some of it. You ignored some of it. And you put up with a lot of it. So that means somewhere in there, you are also part of the responsibility and the blame for what brought down that marriage. You have to take accountability for the part that you played. You cannot just put it all on her. Y'all got it? Good.